Okay, so I kind of went through the math on getting the contribution margin kind of quick there. This next section that we'll go through is sort of walk you through why I think unit contribution margin is so crucial to management of firm. So the formula here is profit equals sales minus variable expenses equals fixed expenses. So when we look at that, we're talking about that before, the the contribution margin, profit minus variable expenses, and then we subtract fixed off of that, we'll end up with profit. So the contribution margin is very important, and we do that first, and if we do it on a per unit basis, it's very helpful. So let's keep going with this formula. We know that in our example, we had 401 units at $500, and we had variable expenses of 401 units at $300, and our fixed expenses were 80. So if you do the math on that, you can do it in a nice little spreadsheet, or you can look at it in this equation form. You can see that the profit is $200. But if we break that formula apart a little bit, we can see that sales is quantity sold times the selling price per unit. That's sales is Q, quantity times P, price. And of course the quantity sold in variable expenses is quantity sold times variable expenses per unit equals the variable expenses. So profit equals P times Q minus V times Q equals fixed expenses. Well, this is just rearranging the numbers. We can look through the algebra a little bit too here. So we know that profit is $200 equals 500 times the 401 minus 300 times the 401 minus 80. Well, you can see what we're going to factor out here, aren't we? We're instead of doing it over 401 units, we're going to factor out the units and do it over 1 unit. So what's the difference here if we factor that out? It's simply P minus V times Q, or the unit contribution margin. The price of 1 unit minus the variable cost of 1 unit is the unit contribution margin, and we multiply that by those units to get the total variable costs. And of course, now we subtract out our fixed expenses, we get total profit. So when you look at this in terms of how we came up with profit in the last situation, is the profit was the $200 contribution margin times the 401 bikes, which is 80,200, minus the 80,000 fixed costs is $200. And so the easy way to write out the equation is 200 times 401 minus 80 would give you your profit margin for the entire situation. So the $200 contribution margin in this case is really important to know because it shortcuts doing all of the balance sheets and income statements. You don't even have to do an income statement. As I said in the previous video, you don't have to do all that math. It's simple. It's $200 a bike, and if you know break even is $400 because you have $80,000 in costs, you just take your cost divided by your contribution margin, and you'll find out how many units to break even. And all of a sudden you start going, oh, I see how I could manage now. You can manage a pizza parlor, you can manage a dry cleaner, you can manage a lot of things. Once you know your contribution margin, you can say, okay, everything over contribution margin helps me defer my fixed expenses, so it's all positive. If I have a negative contribution margin, that particular unit isn't helping my fixed expenses, and I might want to do something to get rid of that or improve it somehow. So knowing your contribution margin, your sales minus your variable costs, is very important to make good managerial decisions. Let's keep going with this in the next video.